end, we're going to have a Q&A in case anyone in the audience would like to ask some questions to the lovely ladies, okay? All right, awesome.
You didn't have one. I'm going to work today. How my ladies doing? All right. Another dollar, right? Yeah. Okay, awesome. Hi, my name is Suniray. I'm also known as the I am a certified yoga instructor. I'm also a Seki communication. I am also a speech language pathologist by day. I'm also working
Just over it.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. My name is Suniray. Suniray means goddess of the stars. I'm also known as the Indiogenic Yogi. I am a speech language pathologist by day, over 12 years now. I work with children and adults, primarily children. I love to pour into the youth that are coming into this world because this is their earth. I am also a certified yoga instructor for a few years now. Been in the practice of yoga for over 10. I am a Seki, Kinetic Reiki healer. I work with energy and moving energy through the body so that it can heal disease. And I do that in combination with yoga. So I specialize in entheogenic yoga. Yoga means union with God. Entheogenic means the God within. So entheogenic yoga is union with God, the God within you. I also work with women with immune issues, and that started from my own personal immune issues. I was working on a natural path to heal myself, and after healing myself, I was able to open the door and I had the keys for a woman to walk through. And so I created one healing tea. I also specialize in yoga. And so I'm here today to share these things with you about my journey, about everything that I've learned, and hoping that you can take some of them and apply it to your life and begin to heal yourself because you are the healers.
Blessings to everybody. My name is Lucia Pavone. Lucia means light. Pavone means peacock. And peacock is the phoenix rising here on earth. I am a pleasure instigator, permission granter, certified somatic sex educator, sacred Del pelvic practitioner, and sexological body worker. So I support people to understand their sexual, creative, life force, energy within their womb space. Everybody has womb space. Brothers have womb space called Ayana. I have, for the past 20 years, been a sensual researcher, researching extended orgasm. I used to live in an intentional community in San Francisco Bay Area, and have over 6,000 hours of hands-on experience being in heightened states of orgasm, which is, or I believe orgasm is the breath of God. It's energy. It's not climactic orgasm that we think of. I incorporate psilocybin into my practices. So I do touch people's bodies. As a somatic sex educator, we believe that the body is not separate from the mind, heart, body, nature, spirit, community. And that a lot of our traumas are locked deep inside our wounds, our muscles. And that memory of those traumas are not in our brain,
most of the moms that come to me are VBAC. They're wanting to have vaginal births after cesarean sections. Some of them are moms that want to have their first baby naturally at home, and they are met with a lot of resistance from those who are in fear and or miseducated about it. And I'm also a doula, which I've been by the side of women since I was 17. And I just turned 61 on July 17th. And I'm proud about it, and I'm grateful for it. And I don't think I would be as youthful in spirit as I am if it were not for my children. And I'm a mother of 2 children, 6 girls, 4 boys, and 22 and counting grandchildren, and 1 great grand. So I'm grateful. And I've been there, and I'm grateful for that. Every one of their births, except for the great grand and maybe 2 of my grandchildren, but I've been there for all of them. And not always as a doula or midwife. I really had to click into mommy mode and just be there and not try to regulate anything. So that's one of the things I do, and I'm blessed to be the gatekeeper for so many beautiful women as their babies choose me to be a witness to their arrival. So I'm grateful for that. I'm so grateful for that. And I have a few moms here that have been, I would say, sharing the sound of my voice in their ear as they go through either their pregnancy or their labor or their postpartum. And the number of women that are willing to use infusions are increasing. So that is the main reason why I came the very first time as a participant in the workshop learning. And then when I returned, Bob put me on panels. So I still don't know why yet. And so I'm just grateful to be here, and thank you all for your energy exchange. And I was ever grateful to Baba Kalili, Mama Judai, my dear friend, Mama Ayana, my dear friend. My dear friend. And they were sisters and sisters to me. And I'm grateful for that and being a part of the family.
Ayana, and it is no mistake that I'm sitting in this particular spot where Baba is looking directly at me. So I honor that energy that he's been sending throughout this entire conference, whether to sit directly, it was just no mistake for that. I didn't do that on purpose, so I honor that. So I've been doing womb work for the past 20-something years as I realized that we connected in that space when we were on infusions. We take women into the woods for 3 days, and we would ingest mushrooms, we would do rituals, we would do spiritual bathing, we would pee all over the place, we would create magic, we would be naked and running around, and it's so necessary for women to build in nature. It's very ancient, and we have to return to that place. So I push that energy for women to be in that space and heal themselves, because when you connect yourself to nature, she opens herself up with her divine gifts, and you become one with that. So healing is what a lot of women have to do, because as I connected the dots throughout the years, I realized that a lot of the pain was generational, a lot of the pain was ancestral, a lot of the women were holding on to things that their great-great-grandmothers went through, and that was given to me through the entheogens, that we have to connect those dots and go back in time to heal that place, so that as we come forward, these women can release the pain, because we got women here with diseases that they named: endometriosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, fibroids that are
Hi everybody, my name is Mikaela of Myco. I am an advocate for the righteous use of abortions through the birth continuum, from conception to gestation, birth, postpartum, and breastfeeding. I'm just continuing a long line of work already laid out before me because of these incredible people in this room. And where my position has kind of led me is a lot of advocacy work, talking to and doing articles for, our local news in San Diego. Channel 8, had me on the news, and that was an incredible permission for a lot of people. And so the community is extremely hungry and ready for the thing that I received from my elder. And I had the privilege of sitting with an abuelita who is from Jalisco, Mexico, and she is part of a tradition system which has deeply incorporated the medicine of not just mushrooms, but also peyote as not just an alternative to mental health medication, but as a foundational component of pregnancy and as a way to optimize benefits and ensure proper gestation and a full and autonomous sovereign birth experience. And so I'm just here to also share permission, just like Lucia said, and be on the front line right now as we are more than just microdosing moms. We are creators, we are cultivators, we are ceremonialists, we are medicine crafters and educators, and it's a privilege and an honor to be on these esteemed panels, so just thank you for allowing me to be here.
Alrighty, so first question on the panel is, what does a healthy womb look and or feel like to you, or according to you, with or without psychedelics?
I'm also so grateful for the many teachers that I've had. That's sacred items right there. That's not anything to play with. So I became initiated as a womb steam facilitator through the Ayana tradition, which comes out of the Yoni Steam Institute of Atlanta, Georgia. And my teacher, Star's sister Nova Birch, her first assignment for me during my education and tutelage was to paint a picture of my womb. And no one had ever asked me to do that visually, to tap into my creative force and tune into what that looks like, feels like. And so I'm really just brought back to that moment of how did I even look at my own mystical space. And I think an incredible representation of what a healthy womb looks like is to look at the things that... Okay, let me just finish my thought. I know she has something better to say, but a really wonderful representation and reflection for what is within the womb is to look at the things that we are creating. And I think that's very much it.
For so many years, I did not have a healthy womb, and I didn't understand what that was. My periods were 14, 15, 16 days, and I came on when I was 10 years old. And so my mother took me to the gynecologist, and he proceeded to do a vaginal exam on a 10-year-old. And all I remember is the scream. And from that scream, that's where the trauma set in, okay? So as I moved forward in life, I understood that something was out of sync, something was not quite right with me. But I also understood that there was a deep need to protect my sisters, to teach them things, to empower themselves. But it was coming from a place that was so deep and dark and mysterious that I didn't quite understand what that darkness was. telling me what I needed to do. My story actually began with my paternal grandmother, who was domestically abused most of her life, and to the point where she decided that I'm not going to take this anymore. And so she went on to a boat in a lake, and that's where she died, because she refused to come back home to be beaten again. So that energy was passed on to me, but not in a negative way. It was in a way to help empower my sisters to strengthen themselves against the energy that was coming towards them through martial arts, through entheogens, through being out in nature. A healthy womb means to understand the man that is going to enter into that womb. It is a very dark and mysterious place. And so if you're dealing with a toxic man, and I ain't just talking toxic because he's pork. You know, I'm talking toxic in his mind, in his emotions, the way he looks at life and the way he treats you. That toxicity is left inside of a woman, and it causes her to become off-centered again. We go through life and we don't know what's going on, but you gotta be off-centered. Something be right. So know who you are allowing into your sacred space. Even even if you have to run some papers off and have them fill out a paper, like check this off and check that off and see whatever. Let me see something, because it's very important. You know, a lot of women think that, you know, having sex with multiple men is something that is okay because they made it okay. And I know this is coming from an old way of thinking, but that's the way it's looked at. A woman's womb is ready to receive a man, but just one man. Because when you mix the seed of two different men, it causes her again to be off-centered, because what does seed do? It fights. It fights its own self to try to get to that egg. So if you got another man up in there, you done had sex with Joe on Monday and Myco on Wednesday, and that seed is coming in, and it's causing them to fight against one another, you're going to be all jacked up. So a healthy womb is knowing who you are allowing when you spread them legs, baby. Okay?
Another perspective. Thank you. And thank you. For me, when I look at a healthy womb, a lot of times for people, because of the energy work, tapology, and that kind of thing, when people come to me and tell me they have an ailment or a fibroid or things of that nature, and they're expecting, I ask them, so how do you feel about yourself as a woman? You know, what are you angry about inside of your femininity? How is your relationship with your mother? How's your relationship with your father? What happened back whenever you said you started feeling that pain, that dis-ease, or that discomfort? What kind of emotional or physical trauma happened for that to occur and even escalate? Because a lot of times when people say, well, I just found out and I had stage 4 ovarian cancer. It didn't happen overnight, one. And if it did, it had something to do with either your feeling, the frequency and vibration of what's going on inside, that sometimes subconsciously you're playing that loop tape about how you feel about yourself or whatever that situation is, and or your body has been triggered by something that's happening in the environment that automatically takes your body automatically back into that space. So looking at a healthy womb, I usually start by doing an internal scan of my body to find out what is discomforting me. You know, and for me, both the womb and the heart are connected and so intertwined with each other. I have to check my heart space to see how it's having an impact on my womb space. And then I go to work, and one of the first things I do is to go into nature. And then there are other things that I do from that point. And I definitely agree with Mikaela, right? About what you create, be it with your hands, just kept having babies. And when I got to baby number 8, I said, please, can I have a break? I just need 5 years. I just need 5 years. To the day I got 5 years. And my next baby, I was pregnant with her. So, yeah, thank you.
Recognizing that we are conditioned and socialized in so many ways to separate our womb space from other parts of our body. It's really difficult for many of us to actually understand what feels good, what tastes good, what engages our womb space, our genitals. And you know, my first glimpse really in understanding my own womb space was at the birth of my daughter. I just turned 28 and I had a planned home birth, and after a 4-day labor I ended up at the maternity center laboring 12 more hours and then deciding to have a C-section. And I remember very vividly just laying there being cut open, and I had this set, I should be feeling so happy that I'm about to have this child in my arms, but I remember that sense of my womb fucking failed me. I didn't do this right. And with that, I had this sense of all of my ancestors pounding within my womb, my belly. Everything about it felt stuck. That day changed every trajectory of who I was and why I'm here. It led me on a search of understanding, of unraveling my ancestral lineage. I'm first generation in this country. My parents are from Sicily, and we have some very deep wisdom on that island, very deep connection to Demeter, Isis, the Black Madonna, but we also have some deep-rooted stuff, trauma, colonization. So here in the United States, it's really difficult for us to understand what feels healthy, because we're being shown that hair on your pussy is not right. This baby doesn't look right. Your belly is too big. This is too that. So what a healthy pussy, womb space looks like to me is one that remembers your wisdom, your intuitive knowing, realigns us. It's not separate. It connects all parts of us to nature, to God, to our throat chakra, our voice. Can you speak? Check in with your womb space. How about your heart? Is it broken? Start to breathe through your ovaries, ground into the earth. So a healthy womb space is one that is fun. It's playful. It's juicy. It doesn't stop getting. It gets juicier. Okay. 20-year-olds, I love you all. I remember being 20 thinking I was going to conquer the world, but 50, and I just can't wait to 60 because it's like, it's just getting better and better and better. Let the waters flow, let your body relax, open up, because when you open up that portal, I'll tell you, that is a healthy womb space. So, okay.
spaces with just this beautiful flower coming out of it. And so I'm really grateful to have those experiences and to see too those reflections of how we are starting to cherish our sacred space and how we are looking at it as the beautiful, beautiful creation that it is. So several things. I wanted to say something about what Mikaela mentioned about creativity. You do know a healthy womb by what you are creating in your life, because our womb is not just meant to create life, but it's meant to create everything in our space. And when you see that, you know that the woman has a healthy womb. And so I think one thing that we are dealing with on this planet is that the wombs need to heal. And it is dependent, this earth, the maintenance of this earth, the continuation of this earth is dependent on us healing our wombs and us joining forces. A healthy womb looks like sisterhood. A healthy womb is radical honesty with yourself, with your sisters, and with the men in your life. That's a healthy womb. A healthy womb is bringing up strong children who are going to take over and lead differently, independently. I'm getting a little serious. For me, a healthy womb is being able to place your hands on her and talk to her. She talks to you. You listen to her. The first time I spoke to her, I wrote on a piece of paper, "Dear womb." And when I placed my hands on her, and she had so much to say. Because you imagine going your entire life without ever speaking to your womb. The very center of your being. This is like a flower, and your womb is the seed. Everything sprouts out from there. So if this is at a disarray, this is at chaos. Everything that sprouts out from there in your life will be chaos. So a healthy womb looks like order and peace in your life. Thank you.
Gratitude, ladies, gratitude. So, next question we have is, how can women best integrate psychedelics into their trauma healing practices? What are some of the effects? Whether they be effects of the mushrooms or the psychedelics, individual, energetic, physical, emotional, spiritual effects, whatever you define as the effects. What are the effects you get when you do it for your trauma healing practices?
When I saw the list of these questions, I was like, that's a whole summit, just the questions. And every question is a presentation. Every single one. Every single one. But we're going to do our best. I've found so much success and revelation incorporating entheogens into womb care practices, i.e. yoni steaming, i.e. womb massage, i.e. journaling and speaking with one's womb. I found that all of the entheogenic earth medicines have their particular signature, and I find that for when the sisters have been so far gone, so far removed, ayahuasca has a very powerful component within her to clear out the sludge and to provide exit for those things. And some of the key emotional charges that I've seen ayahuasca work with in not just my own life but others is shame. She's a master healer around shame, and shame is the destroyer of a healthy womb. And shame is a primary tool that has been placed upon the womb because it knows that is like the antidote to a healthy womb, right? And so ayahuasca
in conjunction with removing hormonal birth control as part of your integration process. That was my assignment from Madre, was take off your hormonal birth control and say goodbye forever. And so I find that womb care practice on a chemical level can be extremely rejuvenating to just remove synthetic hormones. Also, when I work with altar work, I find that cannabis can be extremely beneficial and helpful, and yoni steaming while on cannabis can be extremely helpful. And when I do practitionership with women with yoni steaming, a microdose or even a higher dose of psilocybin. So for me, it's about ingeniously infusing the technologies together and knowing where to apply these certain medicines. And these modalities together are some of the only modalities that I've ever seen address the physical and psychosomatic roots of trauma. And so I find that it's very challenging for the people moving into these entheogenic realms to just conceptualize their trauma healing, when, as Lucia was saying, so much of it is in the physical. And so when we bring this earth medicine in and do body healing, then we can actually uproot some of these things and transform trauma into pleasure, trauma into connectivity, trauma into also self-reliance. If you have a wound care practitioner working their hands on your body, how can you bring that home with you? I can't do that for everyone that I care for as often as it needs to happen. So my work is to educate people on how to bring this home with them, so that womb massage becomes like a homesteading practice, that pregnancy release and abortion care becomes a homesteading practice. People need to know the potions. People need to know the practices to release or create if they so choose to. So trauma healing for me with entheogens looks like combining these medicines in a precise way and apply the correct practices for the particular ailment that the sister is coming with. So thank you so much.
I think I remember the question here, but as a Scorpio, of course I hate now Scorps. The water speaks. I actually can understand the language of the water, okay? So entheogenically speaking, there was a time that I had a journey and I awakened at dawn. And I looked at Kalindia and I said, I have to go to the water. The water is calling me. I have to be there at this point. So I go to, for those of who live in Detroit, they know that Belle Isle is a treasure. It's one of our greatest treasures. So there's a space that I go to. Anyway, I was called to that water many, many years ago, and I sat on the grass and allowed the sun to bathe my wounds. So by doing that, I spread my legs and revealed myself to the sky, to the heavens. I revealed myself to the grass and the earth. I revealed myself to the divine water energy, and I allowed that energy to permeate me, and that's where I pull my power from. And that restores me. So entheogenically, that was the message that I got inside of that. But it was also something that I've never done if I didn't have to. I actually got my butt beat by my mama for not wearing panties, right? I mean, she actually found the panties that I hid under the porch. Because something in me just would not let me wear underwear, right? It was just like, and she called me a little nasty girl. I don't, But listen, ladies, wear them when you have to, but panties block your power. They created pants for us to block our power. They knew what they was doing. There's a continent there's a country in the continent of Africa where the women of the tribe, when they throw magic at you, I'm not gonna do it, trust me, but they squat down, they pull their lockets to the side, and they shoot the magic out. So how do you spell power? P-U-S-S-Y. I'm gonna pass it on.
before I begin to share with anyone else is I have to try it for myself. I have to be the living, walking witness of what I say I believe before I can even begin to convince, persuade, or convert anyone to anything. So with the entheogens, I've tried the water, the nature, the sun, but I have a particular yoni egg that's only for my journeys. And I tried it without it, and it would not allow me to do that. I only have an egg for my journeys, and it just won't let me use it for anything else. So when I go in, I use that to record the history and to heal and cleanse while I'm going through the journey. And it was on my 7 grams that showed me that I had not quite cleared the energy space from my womb trauma of a younger girl of 6. So it was there that cleared it. I was at your house for that. The 7 grams and Amber Lotus, I think she's here. She was with me for that, and it was that helped me to start. Now, mind you, I was finished having babies. All of my children had been born. It was after my first divorce, and Mama Ayana set it up so beautifully to have my journey of 7 grams at her home. She gave me lavender sheets. It was so beautiful. But it was all of that. Even her welcoming me in, that was part of the healing process. And I want us, as women and men, to consider where you lay your head. And when you lay down to rest your body, consider what's underneath. I had to clean the stuff from under my bed because it will draw the energy from you. And when you're vulnerable or when you're exhausted, it'll pull even more. It'll leave you open. If you stay in an apartment, being mindful of who's underneath you and who's across the hall from you. So I'm just saying, those are some of the aspects of the clearing of womb trauma, because a lot of the trauma starts with sound, and it's re-triggered through sound as well, scent and sound. So just keeping that in mind as you do your personal assessment and your healing. Thank you.
You to repeat the question. I just saw a lot of people come in. Lexi, thank you, honey.
All right, so the question again is, how can women best integrate psychedelics into their trauma healing practices, and what are some of the effects? Now, the effects can be whether they be effects from the psychedelics, effects that they personally felt, individually, etherically, energetically, spiritually, etc. Whatever they feel the effects are that they would like to disclose upon, they will do so, and I'm going to do so.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So, the first thing I want to say is your natural state of being as a woman is fully sensing, as a human, is fully sensing completely in your joy and pleasure. That is our natural state. We come out fully open to the energies and beauty of this world. We do take on those imprints of our ancestors, of our parents. Those are part of us. And as we grow, we get conditioned and tumble down. And, we live in a culture of puritanical settler sex. So we're coming from a place right away where we're being told as women that we must wear this hat, this hat, this hat, and suddenly our joy, our beauty, everything is being tamped down, and we start to kind of crumble in. And the peace, my personal journey started like that, and at some point, I read Women Who Run with Wolves. I was 22. I was a Spanish teacher. I graduated college, and I was like, I'm going to go find my bones and figure out who I am, even though I had found my bones in Sicily a couple years earlier in the Kundalini Awakening, meeting my family at 19. But I was like, I'm going to go across the country and figure out where my bones were. And that really led me to my first psilocybin experience at 23 in Apache Junction Desert in Arizona. Somebody said, here, eat these. That piece opened me up. And as I look back now, how do we actually take that technology on a daily? Well, it looks like slowing down. What can support you to slow down? How many women slow down in the day? Do you feel guilty for slowing down? For taking a nap? One of the things that psilocybin did for me was like, let me lay it down. I'm an artist. I go and paint with my watercolors. I draw my bath. I take my clothes off. I adore and adorn myself. I give myself the pleasure so that I can come into another communion with somebody at total responsibility for my joy and my pleasure, not coming just for somebody else's joy and pleasure. It's taught me to receive. Ask with joy. Surrender to my man because I feel joy. It's also incredibly beautiful to set daily ritualistic practices. So I keep my altar. I pray to my ancestors. I, microdose. I have my protocol, and I encourage other women to make this not as something special, but as your natural state of freaking being. This is who you are. Come back into these technologies. Remember your intuitive self. Be with your divine feminine, masculine balance within yourself, so you can come full and whole into society. When you love yourself that much, you start to reflect that in other people. Then you can come into communities. Listen, I used to have a talk called Orgasm for Social Change. Okay? Psilocybin for me does the same thing that orgasmic energy does. I talked about this last night. If you were there, hopefully you got it. It allows us to fully open our senses, bloom out of atrophy. Most of us are walking around just in atrophy. Our nervous system can't feel because we have anxiety, we have trauma, all those pieces. Allow yourself to be in that natural state daily, in your solitude at home. Make it a ritualistic practice. Pray, meditate, bathe, eat well. I mean, Empress was talking this morning about how we feed our bodies. So for me, it's not like an extra add-on. It's a way of being. Capital B, capital E. Being. I am a being. A being of love. Love is a natural state of being. Pleasure is a natural state of being. The mushrooms are a natural state of being. Every culture can go outside and find mushrooms, including my grandmother, who was like apparently an aficionado mushroom hunter in Sicily. So be with you in a daily. So open up to that pleasure. Thank you.
allowing doctors to do whatever they wanted to do with you. I'm sorry for using you for money, for gain, for my own personal advantages. I'm sorry for everything that I did to you. That's the first and foremost. And after that, I would suggest some meditation. By placing your hand in your womb and going into a deep meditation and really just allowing him to speak with you. And I actually do this with mushrooms or microdose of mushrooms. I'll go into a womb meditation, followed by womb yoga, followed by womb journaling. So you can really dedicate an entire practice to that, just to connect you to the womb and just go deeper and deeper at every level. I also had experience recently, or at least on ayahuasca, as Mikaela was saying. There is a purging that happens. So my last two ayahuasca experiences wiped out my menstrual cycle. It completely opened up my womb. It was dealing with things that were trapped inside of my womb that needed to be released. And so the ancestors and the grandmothers, they came through, and whatever it is that they wanted me to let go of, they opened up my womb, and there was a purging. And so that is something I also recommend, to go deeper with healing trauma ayahuasca. Microdoses, mushrooms, and meditation, womb journaling, womb yoga.
All right, so we are nearing the end of this panel, but we're not going to leave you with nothing. We're going to kiss this last question. We're going to keep it short and simple because you know it's a powerful one. You're going to have to condense it a little bit of a challenge. So, after that, we're going to have a lovely Q&A in case anybody has any questions. So the final question is, what are your 2 top ways that you utilize psychedelics and or other methods to increase the power, creativity, abundance, and life that dwells within the physical and spiritual world?
Okay, so some of the ways that we can use psychedelics to increase creativity in the physical and spiritual world. Psychedelics on a microdose, for me, it automatically increases my creativity. I will microdose and I get into my creative mode. I'm a divine alchemist, so I'll start to create herbal teas and different blends. And everything just comes to mind. What's going to detox the liver? What's going to detox the heart? What's going to detox the blood? And so I start to add those components within my herbal mixes. So microdosing, definitely, it increases not just my sensory, as far as my sight, my vision, my hearing, my ability to react to things faster, but it just gets the wheels turning. And so I can take a microdose and put myself in a space where I'm just allowing things to flow, and I'm allowing myself to receive downloads and uploads. Uploads meaning it's already inside of me and it's just being activated. Downloads meaning like your ancestors is sending it to you. Like do this, do that. So I consider myself a tantrika, stamped and approved by the ancestors. They definitely come through. It's just about listening. And so I know we probably all experience that. They are constantly talking to you, but you have to listen. You have to put yourself in a space to listen. I think that covers the spiritual world and the physical world, right? Yeah. Let me see. There's anything else. Yeah, pretty much mushrooms. Mushrooms for me.
So I think two of my favorite ways that I have used psilocybin in particular is when I travel to new places and I check in with for example, February I was in Kemet in Egypt, and brought in chocolates, mushroom chocolates, because that's the only way I could figure out how to bring them in. And it was, a beautiful journey to receive the information in that way, being at the Temple of Philae, Isis's temple, and seeing the mushrooms right there on the temple, and knowing and remembering that wisdom. I was taking myself back into those places of my own other lifetimes. So that's one beautiful way that I receive and expand in my knowledge in that way. And I love to watercolor paint on microdoses, and I use that to process a lot of the pieces that are going on in my present day life. So 3 years ago I went through, and my husband and I ended our marriage, and it was really difficult for me, and I went through a process of grief, and I absolutely painted every part of my grief. The other part is my favorite. When I am in a relationship with a man, there's nothing more beautiful than sensual alchemy and creating ritual and sex magic with psilocybin, and being with each other's touch and senses and fluids, and magnetizing. I don't call it manifesting anymore. Building that energy so freaking high that the world just comes right to you. Everything that you desire, every piece of it. The money energy, the land energy, the juicy yumminess energy, the children energy. Bring that in. The divine portal is open and awake. Do it together, and come and include your community into that, and let them talk about it. Okay, people can go and talk about, their diseases, but how about I just have the best heightened orgasmic cosmic experience with my love. Share that.
Together. Okay, so I forgot what the question was. I was wherever she was, I was there in mine. Jeez.
So, what's your top one way you utilize psychedelics to increase your power, creativity, abundance, and life, for your physical and spiritual growth?
Okay. Usually it's a pattern that I've established since Mama Ayana introduced me to the mushrooms, and every year I do a journey on my birthday or just before my birthday. I'll do however many days of fasting and determine how many grams I want to take, and then I go for it, and that kind of sets my road for me in terms of where I'm going for the new year. And last year I did 60 grams for 60 years, and so I'm here with the big wigs. This is part of my path, to not just be on a panel talking about good sex and love making with indulgence, but really opening portals and creating ways in your mind, in your spirit, for not only you, but your children, your children's children, to walk this road, and they'll never have to do pharmaceuticals again. They'll never have to go looking for this, that, and the other from some stranger, because we have more farmers and life builders, and not even trainers. We're here triggering memory. That's why we all came together. We're just triggering memory. You have your answers, you have your direction, you know where to go. Just be and sit still. Be still long enough to hear, to listen for it. And it may not always sound like the voice you want to hear. It just might not sound like it. It might sound like something else. The other thing that I do with entheogens is the microdoses help me to get out of my head. And when I say get out of my head, I have 4 planets in Virgo in the 12th house, if anybody knows what that means. And so I'm thinking, and trying to perfect before I move out on a thing. And even though Mercury is the messenger planet, I don't always speak about it because I'm thinking about it. So when I microdose, it helps me to bring it up and bring it out. It helps me to bring it up and bring it out. And that's for the physical and the spiritual perspectives of anything from my life, because I just get caught up in my head a lot. So that's how I do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
2 years and 4 months, my womb journey has changed. I'm a widow, and there's a difference there. So physically and spiritually speaking, I roll differently because I am different now. So I'm learning a new part of myself to be without a partner, without that touch, without that intimacy that is physical. And I've learned to accept and honor the spiritual and the memories of, which restores me and keeps me solid in that place. I call on the great mothers often. And so I say I call on spirits far and wide, all of the great mothers of my matrilineal line, to come through and assist me in places where eventually I will sit with them as a great mother. And then you will be able to call on me to restore me in that place of honor and love. And, you know, just without going too far into it, we were an active couple, of course. And whether that is going to happen again in my life is not a major concern. So for that reason, and I might ramble a little bit here, so try to follow me. I microdose, but not a whole lot. Because you know what? It may get horny. So I'm going to stop because my son is in here. He was like, yeah, please, Mom. Don't want to hear about it, Mom. But so microdosing does increase the libido, okay? And so when in this new place that I am, and I have to sit in a particular place as a woman, as a widow, as a crone. Let me back up with the crone energy. Crone is a corrupt version of the word crown. I have received my crown as a woman of power. And I accept it, and I'm used to it, and I'm powerful, and I love it, and I'm going to walk this walk as an ethnogenetic queen. So, hey.
So if I could just kiss this one, because this has been a very powerful panel, and I just want to honor and thank everybody's time here, and Baba's time. This is actually my first time being in his energy, you know, and on physical. And it's really an honor to be in this umbilical cord, this divine connection between the two of you, so thank you for this channel. We haven't talked about it, but one of the primary modes of connecting to my internal womb power for all manner of assistance in this realm is by connecting with my blood. 2 words. Blood magic. And I know that scares
the ever-living daylight. I mean, the fact that I'm in like a Catholic church talking about blood magic is very disruptive to the energy that is being imposed by this space. And for time immemorial, the suppression of bleeding and the disruption of free bleeding and the disruption of interacting and engaging with blood and tapping into its crystalline power has brought a lot of us to where we are today. There's entire industries built around suppressing not just ovulation, but bleeding. And the general consensus I've seen on the mainstream is, how do we push this as far out of a conversation as humanly possible? And the rebel in me always discovered that the things that I was being separated from were the things that were going to give me power. And although my blood might not be classified as an entheogen, I certainly feel like it is. And part of that relationship is also about recognizing the plant spirits that assist us in continuing our bleeding, which are the very powerful amenagog plants like Queen Anne's lace, wild carrot, mugwort, which is a high priestess plant as well, a magical dream plant as well, and tapping into the entheogenic property of our plant allies and relatives, and remembering that this isn't just one empress class of plants that are the only ones that have magical powers, when all of the plants on all continents, on all planets, and plants and planets are just a single vowel away anyway. They are in themselves traveling consciousnesses. And so my blood magic is intrinsically tied to the entheogenic plants that help me bleed and continue bleeding, removing tampons, removing anything that obstructs the flow. I work with menstrual sponges, and they are incredible for collecting blood, wearing my blood, painting with blood, bringing blood to my altar, bringing blood into my mushroom rituals. It is our source of power, is our blood. And to stay in close ties with our blood, to remember the crystalline nature of our blood, has been probably the ultimate entheogenic experience in this lifetime for me. Thank you.
I told you y'all went for a treat. So, thank you for those lovely kisses, ladies. We have reached the end of this magnificent panel, and we have time for one lucky question if anybody has it. Does anybody have a question for the panelists? I shall. Which question, Queen? All right, awesome. So she was asking, what are some things that women can do or utilize or take that can assist with the prevention of cysts, fibroids, different ailments, or anything that is of dis-ease into the womb area? So, which one of you lovely ladies would like to answer this question? Ooh, come on now. All right.
That is an excellent question, and one that we definitely need to address. The number of hysterectomies, the number of fibroids is increasing by the thousands every year. The cost of surgery to remove these things is increasing by the thousands every year. And we are being, what I feel, targeted in these areas. The removal of any part of our womb is being sold and being used for cosmetics. And so in order to prevent this, you have to first realize that you are your own healer. And so you have to heal yourself. And as we were just answering those questions about how psychedelics can be used in creativity and power, taking the mushrooms and really going in and talking to your womb. What do you need? What can I do for you? How can I heal you? And listening to her, allowing her to speak back to you and tell you what it is that's causing this disease inside of her. So now what I've learned from my own personal journey of having fibroids and endometriosis is that the particular foods that we are eating causes it and feeds it. And these particular foods we are eating are tied to emotions. So sometimes you might get a craving for chicken wings and Coke that may be connected to depression. You might get a craving for some fish that may be connected to anger. So really self-analyzing, keeping a journal of what you're eating and what you were feeling at that time when you chose that particular food. And then that's how you can narrow down these different emotions that your body is going through, these different emotions that your womb is holding on to, because she holds on to every single thing, every memory, every pain, every trauma. So first to stop feeding it and identifying those emotions that's sitting inside the womb that's causing these things to create. Because we create them and we can turn the wheel and we can get rid of it as well. So identify the foods that you're eating, identify your emotions, and then also I create womb tea to target these certain things like cysts and fibroids and endometriosis. And so just learning about those different herbs that will help you to tone the womb and strengthen the womb and feed her. Those different types of herbs will go right into your bloodstream. And then you can use the herbs and you can meditate to help you connect with that plant technology and with the technology within yourself. Your womb is the center of language, it's the center of light, of love, of everything. So endometriosis worsens when you, I know particularly sugar and alcohol causes that, causes the symptoms to worsen. So that's something you definitely want to stay away from if you have endometriosis. Endometriosis, as you know, is the thickening of the lining in the womb, right? And so those cells are retreating inward and it's causing the wall to thicken. And so it's causing pain. And so going fasting during your cycle, that will eliminate pain and will start to help in healing endometriosis as well. Because when you fast, now you're clearing out all the food that's been sitting inside of your colon that's now pushing up against your womb wall, that's now causing increasing cramps and pain and excessive bleeding. So fasting during your menstrual cycle, drinking your herbs, meditating, definitely changing your diet, making that a lifestyle change to change the things that you're eating that's feeding it. I would say surgery is something that's not even in my mind as an option because you can starve it. You can definitely get rid of it with different types of tactics. I think that's all I want to share. I hope that was helpful.